right, everybody, welcome to the Great Guilt Tripping. This week, our last week of the Emotional Mayhem Energy window. This week, this CIRF week, runs from July 4th, 4th of July to the 10th. And yeah, we have a lot going on. Obviously, Independence Day, we have a new moon in Cancer. And it's an interesting take on it because normally it's all warm and cozy. But I'm going to show you why it's going to feel a little more on the oppressive side. And I'm not a negative guy. I'm trying to be as real as possible. I'm trying to get as accurate as we generally are going to feel this. So sometimes it sounds a little negative, but we also offer solutions, and the solutions are always the best way to minimize wasted effort, to prevent suffering, etc. So this week, wait for the solution, because I think you're going to enjoy that a lot more. But here's the summary slide for the influence. In the tropical astrology, the new moon in Cancer, we have the Mars-Uranus just starting. That's our Rebel's Paradise energy. So that's going to get stronger as we go. We have the Uranus trine Pluto. That's very weak, but it's going to be grindingly getting stronger and stronger. So it's worth mentioning. And then some other aspects. We're going to have one day where we just talk about Venus. The I-Ching says oppression, and this was it looks very bleak when you do the reading, and I'm like, well, look at all these trines. It's got to, it's nurturing. How is this oppression? Well, there's a few things here. First of all, July 4th. July 4th, yes, is kind of an expression of independence and freedom, but invariably it does force everyone who is honoring the holiday to kind of make an assessment of your freedoms. And so you're going to be looking at the oppression. That's where a lot of people might realize that we are really more oppressed than we think we are, possibly. But I think also the biggest influence into this oppression is the Divine Mother. And this is why I've got my cup here. My coffee cup says best mom ever. And obviously I'm not the best mom ever, but it's a apropos coffee cup for this particular energy. Because imagine the Divine Mother that is being pulled in every single direction with crying babies and dirty diapers, and dinner's got to be cooked, and oh, look at the mess everywhere, and just pulling her hair out. This is kind of the pulling, the oppression that I think is indicated. High congruency score, and I think that's how we're going to get this great guilt tripping, is you're going to see all the needs everywhere. And there's more, a lot more to this. So just hang on. Let's get started. And this is becoming on repeat. CJ Star Monkey, big shout out again. This is huge. 12 ups. This could be an all-time CIRF record for the best comment award. CJ Star says humanity about to get thunderstruck. And a lot of people liked it. A lot of conversation. Great conversations in the comments last week. Thank you, everybody, for participating. Wish I could accolade everybody, but thank you, and great to read everybody's take on things. Here's the Dreambot. Love this new Dreambot, by the way. This is July, 800 surge score, so that really validates this new bot, because we're fresh into July, so no wonder it's way up there. That makes sense. But then July down could even, there's a lot of linguistics in this set that I worry about. Would need weird days, would need weird days. The word need is a very significant word for our CIRF report, as you're going to see. This that great guilt tripping. Other experience close. Things are getting weird and different. All right. That's the whole point of this run. The blue arrow says strange and different. It's just things are off. And then the red says time references. So I put those together and I see strange times. I think everybody would agree with that. Here's what's even more strange. 2024 is nowhere on the list. It seems like that would be really high, wouldn't it? And no, not really, because 2024 would be back into its baseline. In fact, it's very, very consistent, the amount of returns 2024 has, because we're in July. But 2023, now that's significant. Why would people be dreaming or putting into the dreams about 2023? I don't have a clue, and it's right next to now, and that's just really interesting. Obviously, it's part of time, but 2023 is a big sore thumb. It should not be in there, so it's very meaningful. Why is it there? I just don't know. I don't know why it's there. So I don't have all the answers, folks, but some of you smart people might. All right, you are here. We're in Cancer New Moon, July 5th. New moon here. And obviously, July 5th is really close to July 4th. So we got Independence Day and fireworks and all that. But we still have emotional mayhem. Emotional mayhem will end on the first day of the next CIRF report. And then we're going to get into some other big dynamic. But this emotional mayhem, you thought it was maybe heavy. For a lot of us, I was just shocked at how much emotion I accidentally felt. And accidentally, I mean, I tried to stay connected to the reports that I have and still get taken under in the undertow of emotions this last week especially. So if you thought it was bad running up to this is the crescendo. It only gets stronger. The emotional mayhem gets stronger. And then coming down into just this week, we have these two black lines. We're in between those. We have retrograde Pluto, Neptune, and Saturn. So the far out planets are in reverse. We have a new moon on the 5th. And I think the biggest thing showing here is this is next week, but I wanted to show you this now, is Mars conjunct Uranus is right here. So it just starts right at the beginning of our CIRF week. And then, as you can see, the 11th, this line is a little bit too far right, and so it actually should be over here. But on the 11th is when the window shifts, the energy window shifts to Rebel's Paradise, and that alignment, Mars Uranus, goes exact on the 15th. And here you have the representation. The emotional mayhem energy window goes out at the end of the CIRF week and Rebel's Paradise. Then at the end of July, this is where the leadership school starts, and we're really going to put a microscope on what makes a good leader, who are the good leaders, everything about it. The bad leaders are going to get vetted out. It's going to be a really interesting period. And here's our week chart. The main energies this week, you're going to just see this emotional mayhem thing. And maybe most likely includes this guilt tripping or this neediness that's being pulled everywhere. This obligation to help runs high until the very end of our week. And then quietly but boldly, the Rebel's Paradise begins and gets stronger as we go. So Thursday, here are the big things that we're looking at. Probably the most exact right now is Mars sextile Saturn. And that's the disciplined flow. The relentless warrior joins forces with the wise elder. Inspired action meets surrendered faith. But also Mars is conjunct Uranus. So this is the earthquake of change. This explosive alignment shatters stagnancy and propels us forward with innovative force. Liberation from old forms. And then overall, putting all this together, you get the awakened builder. Mainly catalyzed by Uranus lightning bolts of insight, the builder is shaken out of complacency, spurred to construct a new, enlightened reality. Saturn's influence provides the dedication, discipline, and material know-how to give the tangible form to these sparks of electric visions. It's about grounding the ideal into the real through committed labor. So, over in this sector of the stars, planets, you might experience quantum leaps in self liberation, especially as well, July 4th. Pretty cool that we have this alignment. We're turning revelations into revolutions, but again, very, very quietly. We're at a 7-degree orb with Mars and Uranus right now. But I think it is accelerated with the July 4th, just that mindset, the collective unconscious. Accelerated tangible manifestation, fusing inspiration and perspiration, and spiritual maturation through applied devotion. Then on Friday, and actually, I talked about Mars and Saturn just a little bit early because it actually goes exact today, Friday the 5th, but the bigger news is the new moon. New moon in Cancer at 14 degrees 23 minutes. This is the Divine Mother in a very loose conjunction. Venus is still there, so that kind of adds to the mother archetype. But what really adds the idealism and the nurturing and the obligation and the guilt tripping is the Saturn and idealistic Neptune trines. So it's a big, easy conduit of energy back and forth between Cancer and Pisces during this energy. So it's the emotional well. This is the big crescendo in the emotional mayhem. You'd think that it's well, it's all green, it's all trine, it should be good energy. Well, it's so good, it's like too much. It's like a hose of neediness. Look at all the people in need. And, like this is the Divine Mother, the picture. It's like water nourishing the depths. The celestial alignment encourages us to dive into our inner world and replenish ourselves emotionally. But replenishing ourselves is hard when you got all these needies pulling on you. It's time of gestation and giving birth to new aspects of ourselves, like a mother lovingly tending to her child. We are called to care for ourselves and our loved ones with deep empathy and unconditional love. There is a strong focus because of that Cancer on home, family, emotional bonds, and creating a safe, supportive container for emotional growth. Now, all that sounds, warm and cozy, and it's true. And all that's very true. But the trines to these idealistic Pisces somewhat makes us susceptible to feeling pulled by all the neediness. Imagine the overtasked mother with crying, needy kids. Now it's time to cook dinner, but now the youngest needs a diaper change. Just getting pulled in all these different directions, and you can only take it for so long. So this is partly why I have the Best Mom Coffee Cup. Is a big shout out to all you moms. It's critical in this world to have good moms. And this is not just for this CIRF report's not just for females, or this energy, this new moon in Cancer is obviously not just for females, and men too can feel pulled and in the same sort of manner, and in a way guilt tripped or feeling oppressed by, or maybe trapped in self-sacrifice and placing my own needs last. Not that you have to. I'm not suggesting that you have to. We have a whole different solution matrix, so hang on. But for now, we have a new moon reminder. And in the new moon, we want to develop some Cancer-based goals. For the lunar-based goals at the new moon, I'm recommending using Tropical Astrology. So that would be Cancer. deepening emotional bonds and intimacy somehow. You can think of ways to strengthen your intuition and psychic abilities. I'm a believer that these are skills that can be learned and honed, and they can also be lost if you don't keep them practiced. So that would be a good option. Giving, receiving, nurturing, and care. You might have to in this great guilt tripping. You may have to. Getting in touch with core needs and feelings. That's, you could read a book. Emotional Intimacy is a great book. The Mandala of Being is a good book. There's a lot of good books with this. So that'd be one goal you can make for Cancer. And then also any matters of home or family, or security, even protection. You could put in a security system in your home. That kind of thing would be well within the archetype. And you get to choose those goals. Then on Saturday the 6th, let's check in with Venus, because this is kind of our only day to do it. And she has a lot going on, by the way. Venus and Mars, Venus sextile Uranus, Venus sextile both of them, and Venus trine Neptune, but also Saturn. She's got a lot going on. She's conjunct with the moon. She's opposed to Pluto, but that's not so much a concern until Venus enters into Leo. But anyway, shout out to Venus, because this is adding to the overall emotional and neediness, because we have the dreamy nurturer. That's the trine over to Neptune. This is unconditional love, and it's idealistic too, because Neptune is the ideal. So now I'm kind of feeling obligated, and we have the Saturn obligation, Saturn in Pisces, limitations, and obligated to fulfill those limitations. So boundaries dissolve as compassion and creative expression merge. This is the key reason why emotional mayhem window is still open, partly because of Venus trine Saturn and Neptune. Overall, we're looking at Venus, when you put all those together, especially we didn't talk about Uranus and Mars in the sextile, but it's the enchanted garden. She's going to bring in a beauty to this. In this lush inner landscape, tender care and wild inspiration intertwine. Roots dive deep. They seek nourishment and security, while vines of passion and ingenuity climb beyond the stars. That's Uranus and Mars together. And in this enchanted garden, love is both a steadfast sanctuary and ever-evolving adventure. And then on Sunday, the highlight here is going to be Mercury, because Mercury also has a lot going on. He has a sextile over to Jupiter. This will go exact tomorrow, but talking about it now, we have the charismatic storyteller, this sextile here, a vibrant fusion of heart and mind where emotions find expressive outlets through words. Dramatic flair meets expansive knowledge. So we have like a art and words together. That's why he's kind of putting these things together. He's developing stories. This is remember the Mercury in Leo in and of itself. It needs to be heard. It's the role of both the actor and the audience is to find the heroic narrative in our own journey. But the Mercury in Leo, remember, wants the microphone. Give me the microphone. I want to be heard. May feel on this day or in this week from Mercury, might feel gifted communication skills and a flair for self-expression, the ability to inspire, entertain, and educate others. Might have some emotional intelligence and a strong sense of personal identity. And this is where it goes exact. We have two sextiles going exact. We have the Venus that we talked about, sextile over to Mars. Nope, I'm sorry, Uranus. Mars and Uranus in a perfect sextile at 26 degrees 3 minutes. And that was at 6:04 a.m. on Monday the 8th. And then at 9:26, this is where Mercury and Jupiter go exact 9 degrees and 50 minutes in their respective signs. That goes exact at 9:26 a.m. And we are still water dominant, and it's actually, ironically, fixed water. So that would be Scorpio. This is an example of where you can have a background signature of a sign that doesn't have any planets in it, because we look at all these other characteristics. Tuesday the 9th, you can just see that things are starting to clear out, but this is enough. Sun and Venus trine to Pisces, enough to keep this emotional mayhem window still going. We're at about 4 degrees of orb, Mars and Uranus, so definitely getting stronger. And then on Wednesday the 10th, boy, it sure looks like the energetic lines are all pointing straight to Mars and Uranus. So this is a nice little preamble to next week's CIRF report. You're going to see that the energetically shifts to Mars and Uranus together. But there's something else that's very dominant here that's sort of hidden in the waters. It's Sun trine Saturn goes exact right here. It's 19 degrees, 19 minutes of Pisces and Cancer. And that's burdened by the collective, but it's a sacred inner space, the essence of being. It finds its home in the harsh reality of seeing the collective needs and feeling obligated to them. Does this not sound like the pulling in every direction of nurturing, seeing what everybody needs and obligating us to go help? But this is the time of embracing our emotional truth, to trust in the wisdom of our inner guidance, and to craft a life that is deeply felt and meticulously maintained. So the positive side of this trine is emotional maturity. If you remember, our emotional mayhem window had two options in the title. It had an emotional mayhem versus emotional maturity. It's not competing with each other, but I think through this mayhem period, especially as I look back at all the emotions I felt suddenly out of nowhere, I feel like I have developed a much more mature way of handling things that I never thought I'd see. Ability to create security and stability for self and others. But there's a negative side too. Tendency towards emotional heaviness or melancholy, feeling burdened, weighed down, maybe burned out, taking on too much responsibility. This is the highest risk of the great guilt tripping this week. And it ends with a big bang, the Sun trine Saturn. All right, let's get into the I-Ching 47 with change lines 1, 5, and 6. It's like a dried up lake bed with scavenger crows stalking the shoreline. Here's your picture. And now does it make sense? The oppression that we're talking about are these crows are in great need. So, feel that energy to try to, and not that we love helping crows typically. Imagine these are little puppies in a dry lake bed. You're going to, oh my gosh, we got to save the puppies and feed them. And that's the oppression. It's a kind of a reverse oppression. So here's the change lines. Line 1 says, one sits oppressed under a bare tree and strays into a gloomy valley. For 3 years, one sees nothing. There's that 3 again, but this is 3 years. Line 5 says, his nose and feet are cut off. Oppression at the hands of the man with the purple knees. Joy comes softly. This line depicts severe oppression. It's like a physical oppression, but it suggests a figure of authority or power exerting control. Despite the severity of the situation, there is a subtle promise of eventual relief. Line 6 says he is oppressed by creeping vines. He moves unsurely and says the movement brings remorse. If one feels remorse over this and makes a change, there will be good fortune. So basically, just overall, the hexagram 47 with change lines 1, 5, and 6 says significant oppression and constraint. The overall mood is one of challenge, despondency, and entrapment. A sense of initial bleakness, severe oppression with a glimmer of hope for gradual relief, and a feeling entangled and hindered with the need for introspection and courage to change. All right, time to summarize what we've talked about. And we'll get set up over here. Get you the summary slide. Here's our Divine Mother. As the emotional mayhem window reaches its last 7 days, we see, feel, and experience the great crescendo of emotional extremes. It's highly likely that we feel the pulling of neediness from the people around us, the sensation of obligation towards others, deep empathetic waves of understanding, as well as the pros and cons that tend to come with this energy. The potential for power struggles and defensiveness is just as likely as awe-inspiring creativity and mystical wonderment during this week's strong influences. All right, let's get into the solution. Can't wait to show you. Diverging interest, hexagram 38, when you put those change lines in, when diverging interests make a situation seem stagnant or futile, remember that there are always creative possibilities inherent in polarities. Summary of the behaviors that you want to consider according to hexagram 38: recognizing and respecting differences, seeking common ground, embracing flexibility and adaptability, maintaining inner harmony, communicating clearly and respectfully, seeking mediation. So that's our first source of solutions. Then in our conversion chart, we have the new moon at 14 degrees, 23 minutes of tropical Cancer. We plot that. We get hexagram 39, and we've got Gemini, Sidereal Gemini. So first 39, line 6 says the troubleshooter, the natural gift for solving problems, practicality and the ability to guide and nurture others. Isn't that ironic? The energy to provoke others by attempting to solve their problems. Now, here's the downside to solving their problems: the emotional drive to dominate that provokes others. That's the overcaring. So, this whole week is really great. This CIRF week is really great for analyzing this paradoxical, or I don't know, the paradox of caring versus overcaring. So, this one actually says to care enough to get in and provoke by attempting to solve their problems. In other words, you know how kind of annoying it is when you kind of almost got it, but dad comes in and said, no, you need to do it this way. Like I had the solution, I think, and that's kind of the suggestion from the rave, is that get in there. So follow the nurturing pulling, following the needs as they show up. Don't be laissez-faire. Don't be like I naturally am, is just sort of observing everything happening, the last one to the crying baby. You know, not that I don't go, but I'm always the last one there. Unless no one else is there, then I definitely respond. But don't be me. Be the helicopter mom, the loving helicopter mom that is seeing the problem before the problem develops, and you get in there and solve the problem. But the big caution is, do not overcare. In other words, don't go in to dominate, because you could go in there and even consciously or subconsciously go in there, fix this problem just to demonstrate what kind of a loser they are, how dumb they are. And you don't want to be doing that, obviously. Is it obvious? I don't know. Just thought I'd say it. So here's the solution. All right. I-Ching 38 was diverging interests, and this is means that you're going to look for the common denominator. You're going to look to mediate. Don't look for differences. Then we have the intrusive fixer with the rave, right? This is the teacher that's getting right in and correcting his errors, and he's kind of looking provoked. And that's okay. She's not controlling, so that's good. And then we have Sidereal Gemini. That's really basically diverging interest. And then we have a new moon, which is the newness, new projects. The sources this week overlap in a very intricate and nuanced way. We start with the new moon. See, we're at 30 minutes. Got to check my times. I got to get going to work. We start with the new moon, initiate, plan, and imagine new projects and set in motion your new tropical Cancer goals. And as you initiate and move forward in these goals, focus on doing so in Gemini style. Be adaptable, curious, assimilating, communicating, synergizing, and mediating. Which brings us directly to I-Ching 38. It's basically the interpersonal version of Gemini. Seek common ground, mediate, understand the other person's point of view, be flexible with finding a solution for both parties. But the rave adds a provocateur archetype to this triangulation. Be a little more intrusive in resolving problems. Step in and fix it for them. And there's a big foot stomper here. You're going to step in to fix it for them. This might be naturally who you are, but really make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons. You want to help them. You do not want to dominate them. So kind of like the loving helicopter mom, right? And I think this threads all the way through and makes sense to me. We start with the Divine Mother, and we can see how she, there's like she's being pulled into the needs of others and being called upon. And she's now getting in there, fixing problems before they fully develop, but not controlling. Don't go that far. And that brings up another point, which is, where does the line between caring and controlling start and stop? All right, lastly, because I have to go really soon here, the plant of the week is the Ginkgo biloba. It's a tree, and one of the oldest trees on Earth, with fossils dating over 270 million years old. It's associated with the goddess New Mo sign. I don't know how to, meaning time. Oh, that's interesting. Time. Daughter of Uranus and Gaia, the goddess of memory and remembrance. Can also be associated with Venus through the name of maiden here. But basically, you can screenshot all this for your history on Ginkgo and what it can do for you. We aren't here telling you that this can heal anything. We're not medical doctors, and I can't prescribe any medicines, so talk to your own professional, licensed doctor. But an example of things for Ginkgo is the excellent vasodilator, improving circulation, powerful antioxidant, reduces anxiety, or can stimulate action, can facilitate spiritual initiation, promote longevity. Again, do your own research before you use, but this is the plant of the week. The statement I like the most at the end, Ginkgo biloba has stood the test of time and proven its adaptability by being the only tree to survive Hiroshima. Did you guys know that? Man, maybe I'm the only one that didn't know. It is still living in the same spot today. So this was created for humanity with love by Sean Elizabeth Nelson. Thank you so much, Sean. You rock. All right, everybody. Here's our solution slide. Make sure you read it over. Be good with the kind of instructions. This will get you to be able to surf the last week of this emotional mayhem with ease. You're going to be pulled into these needy directions, and you get to respond to those needs, but don't control, don't dominate when you do. Don't get resentful when you put yourself last. Watch out for that. Other than that, I'm really looking forward to the next surf week when we get into this rebel paradise. But I am patient too, or at least learning. All right, gotta go, everybody. See you next week. Love and light.